Astoria, and right now I'm actually in the atrium of the One Court Square. You could see right here. And actually, tomorrow we're going to be having our first live meeting right here at this location. It's actually downstairs from the Target. If you guys, use GPS, it's very accessible by many trains. And let's get right to the business today. We're going to talk about education. So first of all, education is really a great way to show a lot of the flaws of socialism. And once again, for people that are triggered by that, I'm not going against welfare or, well, definitely welfare has problems, but, in terms of some safety nets, right? But when a safety net can become a trap, right? So we have to be careful about these things. Just so you know, this state, even though I'm running for state assembly, the thing is that the city has mismanaged things many times, and actually the education system is now no longer managed by a lot of things in the city are actually managed at the state level. However, still, education is, so in a lot of ways these things are intertwined. Now, the thing is that for New York City, education is the largest expense, and it actually exceeds the funding for police, fire, and prisons combined. At the state level, education is our number 2 spending right after Medicaid. So it is a huge sucking down of money. And what do we get for that? We actually have I think, have like some of the worst results for the amount of money spent. And a lot of the, passion that people have for their children is actually resucked into slogans such as we need to fund education without really critically looking at where the money is going. Now, a lot of, well-meaning parents believe in education, especially Asian Americans. Asian Americans have done well in school since the, 70s and 80s, right? 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010, 2020s, about 50 years, half a century in this country. How many Americans can name an Asian American scientist? They really can't. And just so you know, our education, even though we teach our children like the slope of a line, y equals mx plus b, you may know about this formula. And I don't know if you know about calculus, but calculus teaches something called derivatives. If there's a curved line, then it's hard to tell, right, which line is actually, has the steepest slope, right, or the maximum profits. But the thing is that we don't teach our children, even you yourself probably don't know who to talk to so you get the quality of the food at your child's school improved, right? They're eating food that's very institutional. It looks, if the parents had to eat it, it wouldn't last long. So a lot of parents say, "Oh, I care about my kids. I care about my kids," and then they go and, right, all they pay attention to is the grades, but they don't really care about what their children are eating. What's more important to your child's mental and health development than the food that they eat? The priors are all screwed up. It's just, unfortunately, a lot of convenience factors really at play here. Another thing is that an Inspector General report from, I think, maybe 2017, something like that, we had a town hall on higher education at Columbia University, right? And the thing is that there was a official Inspector General report that found that they were using the money, state money, for actually lobbying purposes and a lot of redundant tasks, and just incredible waste going on within the system. The New York State's own Inspector General report found this. I don't believe that anything really significant has been done. Just so you know, too, and I'm glad that Maverick, thank you for posting it in the chat right there. I've done many important topics on my channel, but right now, there's a lot of, like I said before in another video, the grassroots candidates like myself that are for the people are trying to get things done, but they literally have these paid people come in trying to distract or say silly things. So this is actually the last video where I will actually address comments that are just completely irrelevant on these kinds of things, and I just want you to, just show you about the type of things that honest people like myself that are trying to run for office and really make a difference have to go through. We have to deal with harassment. We have to deal with paid. These people wouldn't show up for free, right? That's where your money goes when you're donating to these other candidates. These candidates that you see on TV, it goes to pay for people like Maverick 7022. So, keep doing it, bro. I really don't care, man. You're nothing new. If I should dare to I'm making my advancements, but keep protecting the money. So let's go once again talking about these people in education. They really actually fuel the credibility for a lot of the BS stuff that goes on. For example, just so you know, gender neutral bathrooms. That whole fight was actually spearheaded by a guy named Professor Parsons at Hunter College, who actually stole federal money, and had cocaine parties. You could look this up, Parsons. Also, Hunter College also had General Petraeus after he got involved with a sex scandal and got thrown out of the military. So after someone gets involved with a sex scandal, we're going to put them in charge of young men and women, in positions of power where they can determine their futures. Remember that Ghislaine Maxwell, not Ghislaine Maxwell, I mean Virginia Giuffre, right? Yeah, who's actually dead now, right? Who just before she died said she wasn't suicidal. Yeah, because she knew she was a target. I know I'm a target now as well, from people like Maverick 70222 who won't be investigated. Hey man, keep doing it, bro. How many of us can you kill? Once again, I have endorsements from the largest, from the longest wrongfully incarcerated man in New York State history. I have a lot of work across the country, so you could whack me out, and I wouldn't be surprised. It is what it is. But once again, Virginia Giuffre, the first person that Epstein set her up for to have sexual encounters with, wasn't a CEO at a company. It wasn't a politician. It was a professor. Yeah, and remember, these professors also give people Nobel Prizes and things like that. It's completely corrupted. All the credibility and anything with status is highly controlled. Okay? It's also parking space for Hillary Clinton, right? Remember, Hillary Clinton had Ghislaine Maxwell at her daughter's wedding? The pimp for Jeff Epstein? This is where, in higher education, this is where these people end up. Now, one more thing that I want to example I want to mention is, remember that Diddy got a key to the city and he got an honorary doctorate degree, not just a degree, a doctorate degree from Howard University. Okay, I've tried to contact university administrators many times for such as example of the corruption going on with Cornell West. I actually have documented this on my channel of me contacting many people at Cornell University, and they all, even when I got to talk to one, they're too scared to talk about these issues. They have a nice, cushy, easy job. They go in front of a bunch of kids. They say the same thing that they said last year, and they get paid a nice and easy salary. And it's a great way to trap. That's how the people get all sucked into socialism, right? And I'm not saying socialism, if it's really for the working class, then that's something that maybe I would really look into. But they also use anarchism too, right? The thing is that these people, they come into these movements and they co-opt them. It's really disgusting and disturbing, and DSA is all into that. The professors literally going to the front of the classroom and playing a YouTube video. They do this so often in these universities, and they're getting paid. If you count how many people are in a classroom at Hunter College, a cheap, affordable school, each student paying about $2,000. We say that they're taking maybe 12, 15 credits a semester, and then you divide that, 2,000 by a 4-credit class. We'll say that's 1/4, so maybe like $500 per year. $500 a year times 1,000 students, that's $5 million for that year just to and then remember, that's just one class from 8 to maybe 9:30 or 10 o'clock, right? And then they got another $5 million, for the next hour. So they're running maybe 6, 7 classes, maybe let's say 5, 6 classes a day, and then they're getting $30 million per year. just for one classroom, for one large lecture hall, and they'll have several large lecture halls. It's really a money-making machine. Just like the medical industry, it's no longer about, and which the medical industry, we also have poor outcomes for amount of money spent. Government is really sucking it all down. The curriculum is really the major problem, as I mentioned before. The thing is that these children are actually, right, and it's really sad that they're being victimized. These children are actually, instead of learning things that would help themselves, such as like how to improve the quality of their own lives, they learn how to make the line go up. This is disgusting, and the curriculum is shaped by political interests and needs and the convenience of the, I guess you could say, the ruling class, or the people that are paid to come into my chat and drop all kinds of stupid stuff about planets being on the light years away and rings on Saturn. I mean, there it is known, Maverick, but this is where your money goes, and the activism space is highly controlled. And while I'm homeless, a lot of other people there, like Nate Friedman and Nick Shirley, are out there manufacturing consent and support. Trust the people that bewitch you, not the ones that they give you. So tomorrow the meeting will be here, our live meeting, and I can't blame the party leadership either. I went to the barbecue yesterday. We're going to try to get the email out and see if they could help us to signal boost this particular thing. Project Civic, I like their work. They are never responding to me in any way to really get anything really done. They have their own work. They don't want to actually. They had a candidate from, not even from New York. I think they brought in a candidate from Florida to present at one of their meetings. I contact them over and over again. Once again, I think they're doing great work, but they don't want me to be part of it. There's people who are leaning on them from the top, or maybe they're concerned about me, right? Yeah, because I'm Asian American. I asked them to help with people with Chinese who are facing, Chinese Americans who are facing persecution by those Chinese police stations. But they don't really want to get involved. They're like, oh, the Chinese people just get threatened back at home, so we're just going to, we don't really care about that. So it is what it is, right? Oh, another thing I want to mention about education is that a lot of education is actually manufacturing and actually victimizing Asian Americans like myself. Just to throw that in there. How many of you have had actually a professor that was actually from Asia? Not Asian American, but from Asia. The campus looks diverse, right? They fill their DEI quotas, but because they have now too many Asians, because they're charging people from Asia 3 times, 5 times the amount of tuition and making money off of them, then they don't want to have Asian Americans on campus because it won't look right. So when they say, oh, look, so much of the campus is actually Asian and racial feature. By the way, that term Asian was made up by these academics and intellectuals. So thank you. Maybe that's a legit question, Mason. I don't know. There's weird numbers behind your name, which also makes me suspicious. But I'm going to say right now about the AI thing going on. The AI in education is actually going to actually revolutionize, I think. But once again, a lot of the money is spent. We can see that the way the money gets sucked out for the AI to build these data centers and really become a tax on the community itself, while to make AI slop. We can see that a lot of our money for education gets spent on buying computers, buying tablets, and actually a lot of the teachers are saying that the screen time is actually hurting their children. But the Apple computers and things like that, they will actually make deals with the school administration, and we have a lot of problems. So, and once again, the people who are doing the studies to determine what's really effective for the children are already deeply compromised. So that's why I support school choice. We need to have a free market solution. The sad thing about this is that what's going to happen is that there's going to be consequences. There's going to be people who are choosing to follow certain pathways of a curriculum that aren't, not necessarily state approved, and sometimes there will be consequences. But that's a big problem. So, yeah, Mason, I knew. Am I an AI voiceover from ChatGPT? Yeah. Sure, why not, right? Yeah, you don't have to do any research. It's just this is who's showing up. Yeah, I knew that the numbers were unnatural on my thing. And by the way, um, I'm highly suspicious of who has the money and the influence to do this. Well, I'm actually the America First candidate out here that actually is really unhappy about the way that Israel has been manipulating Asian Americans. We take a look at the Asian American curriculum, which actually I brought the son of Susan Cuddy and the grandson of An Chung Ho, right? The only two Korean Americans mentioned in the Asian American curriculum, which also does not talk about the word Palestine or Palestinian American at all. Okay? Who's actually influencing this curriculum right here? Actually, Grace Meng, who's actually, you could see that she gets her money from Israel, from IPAC. And the fact of the matter is that they're really playing this manipulation game. So, who's really stretched out to do all this kind of thing right here? Who has the motive and the opportunity and the resources to make something like this happen? It could be DSA. They hate me as well. But really, the ones who are really stretched out and have like their really fingers in a lot of stuff is that, right? It could be actually, I'm fighting against communism. It could be the CCP, maybe trying to gaslight or try to redirect. You can't trust anything in this game. But I'm just going to keep laying it out as I can. And thanks for checking out these daily updates. I know that the algorithm is squashing all my work thanks to somebody who's influential at the top. But I'll just keep growing until maybe I'm dead. Do what you gotta do, yeah? Just trying to do the right thing out here. God bless.